Hello, welcome to the Prism Wizard realm. I am Prism, and today I'm going to be speaking about my personal experiences with darker energy, darker spirits, darker beings, and darker consciousness. Now, dark doesn't mean evil, it doesn't mean bad, it has no agenda, dark just is, in the same way that light doesn't necessarily mean good. Light just is, and it's the intention we have around connecting with these things that will reflect what we're putting our intention into as we're engaging with the thing, right? So if I fear these darker things, well, I'll probably see fear reflected in those beings, and I'll be more scared to approach it. So this is my own sliver of an experience with darker energy. So if you're curious to know more, I encourage you to do your own research. But I used to be really scared of spirits and the things that I thought maybe would possess me and take my soul. That is just what a lot of movies made me think, and that's not the entire reality of what darker entities, darker beings are about. It would be the same as if someone said all humans hate the earth and want to pollute it and destroy it and don't give a fuck about it. Excuse me, I'm trying not to curse on this. That's just simply not true. There is truth in that. I believe some humans don't care about the earth, but it's not the whole truth, and same with darker beings. And today I'm going to be sharing some stories of how I engaged with two different types of darker spirits in a way that was helpful, empowering, and not fear-based, where we both actually got to up-level each other's own consciousness through our interaction and engagement. And again, not every experience can be like this, but this is my experience, so I feel called to share it. So let's start. So this is taking place in fall of 2022 to paint the picture and paint the scene. And this was in the height of me really delving into my channeling abilities and understanding specifically chakras. And I was in my room, it was probably 10 p.m. or so, and I dimmed the lights because I wanted to do some root chakra clearing. And if you don't know what chakras are, they're energy centers in the body where emotional energy can get stored. And I was wanting to clear from my root. And so I set my room up, I closed my eyes, got into meditation, was releasing and releasing and releasing. And I started to feel a presence enter my room. And it was a darker presence, and I got scared. And I could see with my third eye exactly what had entered my room. And it was this dog-like entity that had a skull as a head, like a dog skull, two red eyes, and antlers. And it was probably about the size of like a basset hound. And I was very scared. I was like, oh my God, what did I just attract into my room? And so there was this moment of observation where we're both observing each other and seeing who's going to make the move. And it was kind of like pacing back and forth while it was like watching me, like waiting for me to let my guard down so it could come in. And I think my guides had told me to like, take a deep breath. There's no need to fear this thing. And so I took a deep breath, and I started to connect with it to see exactly why it had showed up. And it was attracted to what I was releasing through my root. And I was like, oh. And I also had another moment of, well, if you want this, if you want what I'm releasing, you can have it, because clearly I have no need for it. And as soon as I made that thought, it was almost like an energetic agreement to come in and take what I wasn't needing. And it didn't come and like attack me and like try to bite me or, whatever. It was consuming what I was letting go, and it was almost pulling that energy that I was releasing out of me. And so it was actually very healing. And once I felt complete and released everything that I needed to, there was a moment of disconnection and disengagement. And then it wanted to stay. It wanted to go under, I felt it go under my bed and trying to make a home under my bed. And I'm like, okay, no, you gotta go. And I started to push it out with light. So I was imagining light coming down and through my body and out of my hands and pushing it out. And it was like a wild animal. So some of these darker beings are just kind of, like animals, and they're attracted to your energy and what you're releasing. They're attracted to that low vibrational energy because it's food for them. And we had created an agreement where I will give you my low vibrational energy because I don't need it and you would like some. But after that, you got to go. And so it was almost like this, I'll help you, you help me sort of situation. And just attracted to the energy that I was giving, kind of like how an animal would be attracted to blood, right? And it was interesting coming out of my root because my root is red, our root chakras are red. So the energy was probably also kind of red and maybe bloody energetically. And so that was one instance where I was able to connect with the being without fear, and where we were both able to kind of help each other and create a relationship of helping rather than having feared it and creating some sort of energetic tension between us with the fear, because that's going to make it worse, right? So that was one story. And this next story is a little bit more of an intense experience that I had with a darker entity. And this happened last year in 2023 in November. And my friend had just had a really intense and traumatic breakup with her partner at the time, and she had to get lawyers involved to get him out of the house. That's how big of a mess this was. And once he was finally out, she was like, "I just want you to come over. I'm gonna leave. You be here alone, and I just want you to cleanse my space." And so I get all my tools, my smoke clearing tools to cleanse her home, and I'm feeling into the energy of her home the day before. And it feels good. And then the day of, I go ahead and recheck the energy of the home, and I'm a little scared. There's a lot of darkness I was feeling there, and I was like, oh boy, this is gonna be fun. Maybe probably a little bit of a challenge. And so I get there, and the way that I cleanse homes is I'll start from the top up. And so it's a 3-story home with a basement. And once I finally get to the basement, the last part of the house, I can feel a presence down there that's really dark, scary, demonic even. And so I'm like, okay, we're not gonna be afraid. And I'm calling in my guides to support me in the facilitation of this clearing. And so I feel the presence in the basement as I'm down there in this little closet room area. The basement's creepy as fuck, by the way. Just like out of a scary movie. And once I finally get over to that part of the room with my third eye, I see a demon. And I get scared. And I have my smoke clearing tools and my wand, and I'm like throwing smoke at this entity. And I'm saying, you got to get the hell out of here. You're not welcome. You must leave. All of this stuff. And as I'm throwing smoke at it and saying these things, it's cowering. And it's reacting in the way that a hurt animal would. And so I'm like, okay, whoa, wait a minute. Because if what I'm seeing is a demon, based off of my previous beliefs of what demons do, which is like attack, possess, oppressive energy, it was the exact opposite. And so I was like, okay, let me take a step back here. And again, my guides come in and be like, don't be afraid, connect with it, see what it needs. And I'm connecting with it. And it's telling me that the man that lived there, which was my friend's ex, was doing some really malicious, evil, magical practice down there. And he was sucked into that energy. And my friend's ex was using dark energy in an evil way. And the demon was telling me that it was actually a spirit. It was like a teenage boy spirit. And he was showing me him as like a teenage boy from like the 1900s, and that his spirit was kind of pulled in by this darkness. And he was telling me that the man kind of enslaved him to do some of his magical work, and that through this like malicious energy and this magical practice of whatever he was doing down there in the basement, the spirit was becoming malfigured by the energy of it. It was very, this spirit was like shackled to this demon form from the work that my friend's ex was doing down there. And he was intentionally entrapping the spirit. And so I was like, oh, so don't judge a book by its cover here. And so I was like, well, I feel like I want to offer to this spirit, what do you want me to do? Do you want help? Do you want me to help you transition? Do you want to stay in this form? And it was like, I want to transition. And so I called in my guides to help me to call down a column of light directly to heaven, because that's where the spirit requested to go. And made clear that this was a portal and connection directly to heaven. And once he stepped in, you could see the demon part of him flake away, kind of like if you've seen Harry Potter where Voldemort starts to molt. It was very much just like that. And I was very proud of myself for being able to not fear this thing, because again, it was more than meets the eye. It was a mask for what was actually beneath it. And I think it's a really great example of, if we see something scary, maybe there's a little bit more behind that than what is actually being presented to you. Even if it is a malicious energy that is actually, scary and out to get you, there's still, you can look past the mask. There's a connection point to spirit in some way. Like if someone were to look past the mask of me, look through my humanness and see my soul, and see that my soul is connected to spirit, it's the same way of connecting with these scarier beings. It's like, I'm going to look past the mask you're giving me and see that you're actually connected to spirit. We're actually connected to the same place. So there's really no fear to be had. So this is just my sliver of an experience with darker beings. Most of the time, there's nothing really to be afraid of. And that a lot of these beings will actually listen to the boundaries that you are requesting of them. Like if you don't want them in their space, most of the time you just gotta say, hey, I don't want you in my space, so please get out of my space. And some of these beings can actually help us heal by taking some of our low vibrational energy and giving it to them, so there can be kind of this agreement in this relationship that you have with them. Again, not all of them, but some of them may actually, may be able to interact with them in that way. The phone cut out right near the end there, but I was gonna say, if any of this content interests you, I'm gonna be sharing a lot more stories about my interaction with guides and darker consciousness, lighter consciousness, and everything in between, extraterrestrial, all kinds of things. So stick around, and thanks for watching.